Hey, it's Susie Miller here, and I hope that you're having a great day. I'm going to talk to you about three secrets to saving Valentine's Day today. So here's why. Today is Tuesday I can't even do math. Today's Tuesday the 7th. 1 week from today is Valentine's Day, and in 20-some years of working with couples, I can't tell you how many of them I've spoken to the day after where Valentine's Day was a disappointment. It was okay, you know, the girls grab on the phone and we commiserate with each other, and we try not to be jealous of the one girl who had the great Valentine's Day because her husband read her mind and got it right. So what I want to do is I want to tell you 3 secrets today that will help you save Valentine's Day. First of all, I think that Valentine's Day is a day we can't get away from. Hi friend, hi Mona, I'm so glad you're on. What I want to do is tell you, okay, Valentine's Day, it is a day that is everywhere. There's pop-up ads on my computer. You walk into the grocery store and there's gum and candy and hearts and flowers and buy me everywhere. And it's also, on all of our social media. So Valentine's Day, whether you agree with it or not, you can't get away from it. And for married couples, it's a tough one. So ladies, I know that a lot of times on Valentine's Day, the day after Valentine's Day, y'all are disappointed. And I want to give you 3 simple tips to help you save Valentine's Day. And there's going to be a blog post later this week so you can print it and share it with your hubs so he knows that this is how you want Valentine's Day to go. First, understand, here's tip number 1. Repeat after me. Men are not mind readers. I know that is so simple and so silly at one level, but don't we expect them to be? We watch a movie and we see in The Notebook, Ryan Gosling. Hi, Andy Himes. This is good for you. Take notes, Andy. We see Ryan Gosling, rush to the woman, tell her, declare his love, use the best kind of words, build her a house. We see in the movies men be what I call perfect. Last night I was watching Bridget Jones' Baby, and Patrick Dempsey, the Jack character, came in, and he was like the perfect man. He came in with flowers and food, and then even an apology. A whole monologue was an apology about how he'd blown it. And I remember looking at John, my husband, and saying, a woman wrote that scene, because that's not how men operate. And women, we watch these chick flicks, we read these novels, and we expect our men to be like they are in the movies. And the movies are not real. They are a fairy tale. So, tip number 1, men are not mind readers. If you want your Valentine's Day to go well, you've got to remember that, I will tell him, you said hi, Andy. This Facebook Live is much harder than just making a video, because there's people who come in, which I love, but never sure, am I supposed to say hi, am I supposed to keep going? Back to the tips. Just tell yourself, men are not mind readers. Men are not mind readers. I think we are, we think we leave lots of clues. That picture that we left on the counter of the earrings we wanted. Well, I can guarantee you it's probably buried under a pile of mail. Or the hint that you might have gave him as you walked by the store at the mall and told him you like that scarf or that purse or that top. I'd be willing to bet money that he probably didn't register it to write it down. He probably just was thinking about the Super Bowl. I mean, Sunday was the Super Bowl. What man was thinking about Valentine's Day? That's not till next week. So the clues that you think you're giving him, even the hints we give our kids, tell daddy that mommy wants this, that is so unfair to men. They're not mind readers. So tip number 1 is remember that. Tip number 2, repeat after me. Just because he gives me what I told him I wanted doesn't mean it's not romantic. I think we get in our own way there, ladies. We think that, I told him what I wanted and he did what I said. Ooh, so that's not romance. He didn't sweep in and, sweep me off my feet. He did what I told him to do. I can tell you, after 25 years of working with couples, most men are so grateful that their wives told them what they wanted, because guys want to make their women happy. Guys want to get it right. And a lot of times they're just scratching their heads going, I have no idea what she wants. I wish she would just tell me. So repeat after me. When he gets me what I tell him I want, it still is romantic. It's very romantic. To me, romance is when a man listens to what we say, to what we want, and takes action on it. So let's redefine our definition of romance. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 1, repeat after me. Men aren't mind readers. Tip number 2, just because he got you what you told him you wanted doesn't mean he's not romantic. I know that's a tongue twister, so I might find an easier way to say that. Romance is when he gets me what I told him I wanted. And tip number 3, this is like the one that my mentor would look at me and go, well, duh. and that is to just tell him. Tell him what you're hoping for on Valentine's Day. It could be that you've got a kiddo's basketball game and you're hoping for, sodas at the, food truck and to stand next to each other and hold hands at the game and maybe go out another weekend. It may be that you have, kiddos who can, go without you being there and you want him to get a babysitter, or you'll take care of the babysitter and you tell him what your favorite restaurant is. The last thing you want your man to do is try to figure out what you want, because women, let's be honest, we change our mind like we change our shoes. And I think sometimes they think they know what we want. And I'm going to tell you a story that illustrates that perfectly. So my husband, John, used to get me carnations all the time. Valentine's Day, probably 5 years in a row in the early years of our marriage. And what happened was when I finally got up the courage to tell him that I was not happy with them, and he always saw the look on my face and he knew I wasn't elated, and here he showed up with carnations and a chocolate bar and so excited that he had this special gift for me. Well, here's how the story unfolded. One day we were at the grocery store picking up flowers for a friend of mine who was in the hospital. She happened to like carnations, and I was looking at the flower choices, and I said, I like these carnations, and picked up the bunch, and we bought them and went on to the hospital. Well, in John's mind, I think he had this little anchor that said, Susie likes carnations. So for the next special occasions, dozen or so special occasions, I got carnations. I don't like carnations. My friend likes carnations. I'd rather have a green plant. And so I am not a good poker face. He would see the disappointment on my face. And he was like, I thought you liked carnations. I was like, no, I like daisies better than carnations. And my wonderful husband said, well, that's good to know. I think they're cheaper. And those of you who know John will get a good laugh out of that. My point in sharing that is we do change our minds. They listen. Sometimes they make notes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just waiting for us to tell them what we'd like them to do. So ladies, I want to tell you tip number 3. Think about what you want this Valentine's Day and then tell your man. Let him know how he can love on you in your love language. Of course we wish they were mind readers. Of course we wish life was like the movie sometimes, but it's not. And so let's set ourselves up for a great Valentine's Day. Let's save Valentine's Day by telling our hubs exactly what we want, how we'd like it to happen, where we'd like to go, or that they're off the hook and they don't have to do anything but hold our hand at the basketball game. Those are my tips for saving Valentine's Day. You can find more over on my blog at susiemo.com, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.